Hey folks, this is James Tracy, memoryholeblog.org, and something very interesting happened last week. President Trump was in Ohio at a Whirlpool manufacturing plant, and he discussed a number of executive orders that were being signed. One of them concerning pharmaceutical drugs and how this particular executive order would benefit consumers by channeling funds from the pharmaceutical companies back to Americans, and also returning manufacturing of pharmaceuticals to the United States. But the thing that is most interesting about this speech by Trump was his remark that he was, by doing this, making middlemen, making very powerful people, very rich people in his words, upset, and that as a result of this, apparently he's going to have to disappear for some time. Have we heard, can you think of any president who's ever said anything along these lines about the wealthy, of which he is one? Now perhaps he's a class traitor as well. I think that's what many people believe, and I know that there are people out there who follow QAnon. I've been agnostic about it thus far. Perhaps I've not looked into it closely enough, or as close as I should. But I found this particular set of remarks by Trump to be really very unusual for a president to deliver. Let's listen.
But I've heard the term middlemen for a long time. They are so wealthy. They are so wealthy. Nobody has any idea who the hell they are or what they do. They make more money than the drug companies. You know, in all fairness, at least the drug companies have to produce a product. And it has to be a good product. But the middlemen, well, the rebate that I'm doing cuts out the middlemen and reduces costs, and the money goes back to the people purchasing the drugs. So I have a lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you see me for a while. A lot of very, very rich enemies, but they are not happy with what I'm doing. But I figure we have one chance to do it, and no other president's going to do what I do. No other president would do a favored nations, a rebate, a buy from other nations at much less cost. Nobody. And there are a lot of unhappy people, and they're very rich people, and they're very unhappy. Here's my...
So can you think of any president prior to Trump who would say remarks like this? Would it be, for example, Barack Obama? No, can't think of any. George Bush Jr.? Don't believe so. Bill Clinton? No. Okay, how about Bush Sr.? I'm going back in time here. No. Well, he did remark on the 1,000 points of light and a new world order, but I don't think it's quite in the same vein. He wasn't talking about disappearing or having to disappear. How about Ronald Reagan? I don't think so. Maybe after 1984, when he arguably became less coherent, but not by his own choosing. Jimmy Carter? No. Gerald Ford? Don't believe so. Okay, how about Richard Nixon? Maybe privately, perhaps to a certain degree. Otherwise, no. Lyndon Johnson? No. JFK? President Kennedy, who was, of course, assassinated. Yes, he did remark about secret societies at some length in one speech. And prior to JFK, there was Dwight Eisenhower. His farewell speech, he talked about the military-industrial complex. But you have to go back quite some ways to actually find a president who remarked in these stark terms. I want to attach a caveat to this as well, because I believe this speech was done just a few months into President Kennedy's administration in 1961. He was speaking to newspaper editors, the American Newspaper Editors Association, I believe, in April of 61. And it can also be argued that he was discussing communism, worldwide communism, and the communist movement, which was very much afoot during this period internationally. But nevertheless, some of the things he said can arguably be construed as his discussing Freemasonry, for example. And I had trouble finding this passage, the Secret Society's speech, but I did find it in an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. So let's go ahead and listen to that for comparative purposes.
But play that.
Okay.
Play that Kennedy speech.
It's actually like a 20-minute speech. This is I think this is the main highlight we're hopefully looking for.
Yeah, let me hear.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary.
That's good.
I am not asking your newspaper...
You get it.